ọmọ mi ayọ̀ mi mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi fún mi. You are a blessing, not a lesson. I can't wait for you to call me daddy. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún. I feel so lucky that I got you. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Riziki Ahmed from Hidayah. Welcome to our program on parenting. And as we have been saying, always parenting is a noble task and the task that can grant us Jannah if we do it very well. So welcome to the program. Last week, I think we were talking about substance use and our children and the signs to check out for. And we also talked about the stages of behavior modification, and we also talked about what happens in a rehab. I think we are very well informed on that, and we are able to deal with any of that if it happens to any of us. And as parents, we always expect anything, but the most important thing is that we have to be supportive, we have to be there for our children and guide them to the right path. So today we are going to talk about a topic that most of us are avoid, and it's on sexual abuse. And I think it's a topic that we usually feel very uncomfortable addressing. And as parents, it is something that we always feel can never happen to our children. And I think we also wouldn't even know what to do or where to start. And at times, it's a very difficult topic to talk or even think about. But the reality is this is something that is happening in the society. And why am I picking on the topic? It is because on the ground, we have had many cases where we are helping children who have gone through this form of abuse. We are also working with parents who have children who have gone through this form of abuse. So it is a topic that I think it is important that we need to talk about. And the most important thing is to also look at we as parents, how can we protect our children from any form of abuse? And most importantly, how can we protect our children from any sexual abuse? And sexual abuse is actually a form of violence that has a lot of impact on our children and goes on to impact them even into their adulthood and affects how they live later on in life. So it's a very important topic to discuss and also see the way forward. So are there instances of abuse in our families or within the community? Yes, they are there. Are they being addressed in the right manner? We are trying. Are they getting reported? That is a place we need to go to and also see how best we can do it as we still protect our children. So when we talk about this form of abuse, we need to be aware that it's there and that we need to address it. That's what I'm trying to say in so many words because it's a very difficult topic. Now, we need to know how we are going to protect our children from these predators, because that's what I will call them. People who will harm our children are people we have to be very careful with. Unfortunately, when it comes to sexual abuse or violence, these predators mostly are in our own homes, or are people whom we trust, or within our environment, either in our schools or within places where our children will be. So it's not that they are the people that we are able to say these are the bad people. Mostly they're people that we know about. So one of the steps, I'm going to talk about 10 steps we can take in trying to protect our children. So the first step is the very important step. It's encouraging your kids to talk to you about their day. Children are not expected to understand when it is okay to say no or to run away from an adult. We keep saying that children should say no to some things, but do they really know how to say it? We keep telling children they need to respect their elders, they need to listen to them, they need to follow their instructions. So when they're being given the wrong instructions, will they know how to say no? So when I finish my day or after I've had a long day, the most important thing is always to sit down and find out from your child how their day was. So start by asking, how was your day? And as you're asking this, you're seated with your child and you're observing their body language, and you're also looking at them, like when you ask this question, how was your day? What are they going to say? And don't take the day to be, it was a nice day. Find out, what did you do? So it's very important that we talk about how their day was, follow up on asking more questions. So what did you do next? How was it? So you met so and so, what did you do? So have you done your homework and everything? Like you're finding out how the day was, and you're making your child comfortable talking to you about their day, and making sure that your child knows that they are able to talk to you about anything and that you are there to listen. It's very important. And then they should also know that they should report any behavior that is not acceptable to them. They should report it to you, and it is your responsibility to take action. So they are only going to report. It's up to you to take action. And children will look at you to see what form of action are you taking. Number 2, become a parent who is well educated on sexual abuse. Do you know what is the rate of sexual abuse in the country at the moment? Do you know the rate of sexual abuse within the community? Do you have any awareness of sexual abuse? Do you know that a typical abuser will have abused over 117 times? Are you aware of such statistics? So can we educate ourselves a little bit more on this? And 117 times is before they are caught. They will have either done that form of abuse or even attempted it over 117 times before they are caught. So for them to get caught, it's not very easy. And it is not easy because nobody is actually looking out, and we don't educate ourselves a lot. Number 3, look out for the red flags. People who are sex offenders usually act very charming. They groom the parents, they groom the children to gain their trust. So there are these people who will be very nice to us, very nice to our children, and they will gain our trust. They can be very good at fooling us, and it's very important that when somebody is being overly friendly to children, and I'm not saying that everybody who is friendly to children is a predator, but when they are spending much more time with our children than they are spending with people of their own ages, then we also need to ask what is going on. So it's a bit unusual to have an adult who has many toys in his house and video games, and children like to go there. Like you see several children going to that house, and these adults just like keeping stuff that belong to children and encouraging children to go to their houses maybe when there are no other adults around. That should be a red flag. Or those who keep giving children things like sweets and stuff and trying to be with children by themselves the whole time. I think that is something for us to register and try and have more information on such people. There is no adult who will only have children as friends. Every adult has adult friends. So if you're an adult and you only seem to have children as your friends, then for us as parents, we need to find out what more. Are you genuine, or is it just, are you trying to groom these children into liking you so that you can get into abuse? The other day we saw somebody who was running a children's home, and it was really sad that this person had actually done violence, sexual abuse from the country he was coming from, and had come to our country and had been given a license to open a children's home, and went ahead again to abuse children in our country. So this abuse is not something that we can actually say there are certain people who cannot do it. But once we look at people's histories, we should be able to know. So which are the adults that we are having around our children? Always know where your child is at any given time and who is with your child. That's another thing. And make sure that your children are with children or with other people who are reliable, and people that you feel will not take them to a dangerous place. So do not just allow your children to spend time at anybody's house. Know which house they are at, who else is in that house, and which children are they playing with. Of late, we are also seeing abuse among children among themselves. So that's also another likelihood. Make sure there's more than one person in a group of youth. Nowadays, we have so many youth groups. We could have the young people going for a trip or going somewhere to do something as a group. So always ensure that there are 2 adults in that group and that each adult can question the other adult. At times it's very difficult. If an adult is seeing something they're not comfortable with, to bring it out to the other adult. But it is important that if you're sending your child out to any group, that you know that there is more than one adult in that group. And if one adult sees anything suspicious, they're able to bring it out to the other. And the most important thing is the adult that is going out with the children, if they see anything that they would like to question, they don't just let it slide to make things comfortable. If they don't like something the other adult is doing, they bring it out, so that once they bring it out, it can be addressed. And it's better to make people uncomfortable than to have an abuse happen. So anytime we see anything that is not looking okay, we bring it out. It's better to have it sorted than to later regret and say, why didn't we deal with it? So anytime we are seeing an adult behaving in a very secretive manner with children, especially when they're out in a group, the other adults should try and bring it out and find out, why are you acting this way? And it's very unfortunate that children can also get abused when we are sending them for very noble youth activities. And I'm not saying that we don't send our children for those activities. Those activities really help our children grow. But who are the adults who are going with these children? And are they able to address any issue that comes out? And also always address anything that doesn't look comfortable and not allow it to just pass at whatever level. Teach children that danger may come from someone they trust. So once our children know that danger can come from someone they trust, it sounds like very difficult. How do I teach my children that the people they see around, the people they trust, can also be a danger to them? So on that note, I want us to go for a short break as we are thinking about how can we address this danger that we are going to talk about, that we need to teach our children that even the people they trust can be a danger to them. So it's a very important topic. So as you pick a drink and come back for us to continue with the topic, you can go on thinking about that. So we'll come back and we'll continue the program, and we'll still be addressing things we as parents can address and as adults to minimize sexual abuse in our community. Okay, welcome back to the program. Today we are addressing a sensitive topic. We are talking about abuse, and we actually were talking about things that we can do to protect our children from any form of sexual abuse. And we have addressed a few issues, and if you missed out on the program, we talked about being aware, having the statistics, educating ourselves, also knowing that danger can be from the people that we actually really trust. So when it's about the people we really trust, we need to teach our children what is good touch and what is bad touch, and that no one gets to do it to their bodies. They need to learn that no matter whoever it is, they need to report it to you. They need to be aware of that, and report it to any grown-up if you're not around. Like, they can report to a grown-up who is around immediately so that something can be done about it. And they can also ask for help when they are very not sure of whether whatever is being done to them is wrong. They can tell a grown-up, this is happening. I don't know whether it is right or whether it is wrong. And it is very sad when I talk about these stories. At times we tend to think these things don't happen. These things do happen. And I do get to have cases of people who will even tell you they were molested or abused even at the age of 5 by a relative in the house. And they did not say because they did not know whether it was a bad thing at that point. They only felt that something was not right. And later on, as maybe it went on, is when they started realizing that things were not okay. And most of them carry the pain to adulthood and can actually end up in very many bad ways. And as we were talking about substance use last week, some of them might end up taking a substance to make themselves feel better. So it's a topic that we really need to take with a lot of seriousness. If a child has been abused, what should we do? We said if they are using substance, they should be taken to see a specialist and be taken for rehab and all those. Now, a child who is going through abuse, once that has been found, what should happen? The most important thing is we need to take them to the hospital, we need to have them treated, and also we need to offer them psychological help. So any one of them needs to go through therapy, and this therapy can be from somebody who is qualified, somebody who knows how to deal with these cases, somebody who knows how to help this child, and somebody who will also help the parent through what has happened. It's not something very easy to deal with, so even the parent will need help. So it's very important that they should seek therapy and should not be just told they'll get better. They will not just get better, they do need help. So that is very important. So it is important that within our communities we have people, or we have places where the parents can seek confidential help and where the children can get therapy, which can be very confidential, and the children can go on to live their normal lives even after abuse. So there is still life after abuse, but they will need a lot of help to go through it. And also schools should have mental health programs where any children who look troubled can get help, so that any time that a teacher or a child can maybe report the abuse in school and might not have reported at home, we can have structures in place where this can be addressed. So it is very important. That would all go a long way in helping these children understand the signs of abuse, because as we usually say, psychological abuse or any abuse that is done that affects us psychologically at times might not be physical. At times these children might not have wounds to show that they are going through abuse. At times the abuse might be subtle, that it is not noticed by the adults, but the child could actually be going through that form of abuse. So it is important that adults can have the signs that show them that these children are going through some form of abuse. Anytime that we notice they are having mood swings or are having new behaviors that were not there, that are of concern, I think we as parents should actually try and find out what is happening. Then take action if you suspect abuse. If you suspect that your child has been abused, you need to contact somebody. Either we need to make sure that the police are aware, because this abuser should not go on to abuse other children. And unfortunately is that at times we cover up for this abuse because maybe we know the abuser. But the most important thing is to know that an abuser will again go on to abuse. So it's very important that proper action is taken so that they don't go on to abuse further. So as parents, we need to take charge. Remember that abuse can impact on your child for a lifetime. So it's not something that we can take for granted. It's something that needs to be given a lot of time, a lot of action, and we need to address it as seriously as we can. We also need to research, support any form of research that will help our children in this form of abuse. And also look at social media. Our children can also get abused by going to social media sites where they can get predators on the social media. So it is so important that at any given time we are aware of abusers online. They also can come online and abuse our children. And sexual abuse does not actually have to be the actual act. Even showing children material that is not appropriate for their age, that is part of abuse. language that is not appropriate for their age, that is still abuse. So we have to be very concerned about what our children are watching at any given time, and I've said this many times. But when it comes to sexual violence, anytime they are being shown material that is pornographic in nature, anytime they are being shown literature that is pornographic in nature, or talks that are not appropriate, we will call that abuse. So from whoever, it has to be stopped. And at times we might think, what impact will something like just seeing pictures, something like just hearing talk, or even being talked to, it can have a big impact on our children. So we have to always be on the lookout. A predator will not only start with maybe their actual abuse, they might actually start with showing them pictures or videos, and it can be anybody. And when we talk about sexual abuse, most times we think it only happens to the girl child. Sexual abuse does not only happen to the girl child, it happens to all children. I've had boys who will tell me that they were molested by their house girls in their very homes, or boys who will say they were molested by a cousin or an uncle in their very home. And unfortunately, that when these boys get molested, they are the first people who might start thinking that they have a different sexual orientation, and they are the ones who might think that they are more attracted to boys than to girls because of this abuse. So it is something that can have long-term effects even on these boys. And boys also do get abused. I think we always forget that boys can get abused. And girls are most likely to get abused than boys. That is something we know. And they do get abused. So the most important thing is to always know who the people that we bring into our homes. Most abuse happens inside our homes. That is the most important message that I would like to drive home. Most abuse happens inside our very own homes. And at times it is so subtle that we don't realize it until we see behaviors of our children changing. So anytime there's a behavior change, let us try and find out what is happening to our children. Now, as a parent, I've given tips and pointers that can help us protect our children. The most important point is to be able to talk to your child to know that they can talk to you, have a relationship with your child, build a strong bond with your child, and let your child know that they can tell you anything of whatever happens in their life. And that will start by us asking the very question I started the program with: how was your day? What did you do? Who did you do it with? What did you play? What games did you play today? How did the game go? So you're keeping the conversation going and letting the child talk about their day. And from their day, you'll be able to pick anything that doesn't make sense, and now you can work on it. So as parents, let's not leave children with our house girls and assume everything is fine when we come back. Always find out, how was your time when I was away? What did you do? How was it? And always look at the body language of your child. Look at how your child is behaving, how they are talking to you. Are they having any anger outbursts that they did not have before? And if your child seems not to want to be with a certain adult, please do not force it. Children from a very young age can tell when they are not being touched in a nice way. And at times you'll see them avoiding certain people. You might even insist, come and say hello to so-and-so, and they don't want. Please, when you feel your child does not want to be with a certain adult, please work on that. I'm not saying we accuse everybody that is around us. I'm not saying everybody that the child does not want to be around is a predator, but it is better to be safe than sorry. So the most important thing is to always be alert on how our children are behaving around the people that are around us. And when I talk about the home is also the environment that they are in, whether it is at school, whether it is in the mosque, whether it is in the madrasa, anybody can be a predator. So the most important thing is that we are aware of who are the people who live around us. I wish we could have a system where anybody who has ever abused a child and moves into an area, people would be able to be told that there is somebody who has a history of abuse, and then we would be more careful. Unfortunately, we don't have such structures. So the most important thing is for us to be very alert and always watch out for the signs. Like I said, we don't want to have adults who only have children as friends. And adults must also have other adult friends. So those are things that we can actually look out for and be very sharp on. And keep our children as safe as possible by always being around them, or always having somebody around the children that is guiding them and protecting them. And the most important thing is also do lots of dua for our children. May Allah protect our children from any harm. And the more dua we do and the more alert we are, the more protected our children will be. And the most important thing is, as a parent, if it happens, please seek help. Do not hide the child, do not hide the problem, because it will come out later as a bigger problem. So the most important thing is to remember that there is therapy for these children, and they can get help and they can get better. And when children go for therapy, they will work with a specialist who will help them address the feelings they have about what happened. The therapist will help them address the emotions they are having about it, and will work with them on everything that they are feeling until they are able to feel better and they are able to live with anything bad that has happened to them. So the most important thing is to remember there is help out there. Do not keep the child in the house when there is need for them to get any help. And as parents, we also need to seek help. And always, as a community, we need to be very, very alert. And let us be our brother's keeper. If something is happening in the next door that makes you uncomfortable, speak out. Let's not wait to see about things in the newspapers or on the media, because it's very sad when we see incidents of maybe a 13-year-old has been raped and murdered. It gets to be really, really sad and very, very scary place to be for us as parents. So let us report any incidents that we feel that make us uncomfortable within our environment and be the brother's keeper. So that is where we're going to reach in today's program. I know it's a sensitive topic. I know it's not easy, but those are the realities of life and we need to address them. So until next time, this is Riziki. Meet you again on our program on parenting.
Ọmọ mi, ayọ̀ mi, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi fún mi. You are a blessing, not a lesson. I can't wait for you to call me daddy. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún. I feel so lucky that I got you. Inú mi dùn, ayọ̀ mi kún.